Right, Joe, today we were going to talk about artificial intelligence and we're going to tackle it from the angle top level in terms of scary, good, and one thing we must do. So I'm going to start with scary. What's scary about AI?
I think there are lots of scary things about AI at the moment. I think one of the scary things I read in a McKinsey report is they estimate by 2030 up to well, between 25 and 30% of everyday business tasks in marketing, hospitality, all of those sort of things, medical business, whatever, are actually going to be taken up by AI. And so that's quite scary if you're coming into the job market or you're starting off your career or even trying to hang on in there. You're thinking, well, I'm going to have to quickly adapt and understand what AI is about. And of course, the thing, if it's scary, you either do fight or flight. You either run away from it or you say, okay, well, let me fight it. Let me understand what it is and embrace it, which is what I think you have to do. So that's one of the scary things. I think another is that there are so many tools out there. There are text tools, there are sort of design tools, there are video tools, there are audio tools. And I think a lot of the time people don't know where to start or how to use them and feel they're going to be a little bit ignorant about it all. And then I think the third thing is this sort of fear of missing out. There are lots of people who are sort of professing to be quite good at AI and AI is brilliant for this and it's saved them so much time and they're doing that. My personal feeling is that a lot of people don't really know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. You probably don't know what you're doing, but we're muddling along. We're experimenting with it. And so I think if you combine all of those things, it makes it's scary. But I think that probably the better word is about uncertainty. It just produces a huge amount of uncertainty for people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the word, isn't it? As you say, it is uncertainty. It's fear of the unknown, and I think fear of the unknown is, you say, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Our competitors surely must be using far more sophisticated AI than we are, and we don't even know that we're being outcompeted already. You're uncertain about the future of your own job, for example, and your children's jobs, and thinking, well, what's going to change and how's it going to take over? But it is that uncertainty and the fast pace of change, I think, as well. That's one of the things that's really sort of boosted this, I think, that people see things changing every day. It's in the media every day. Every conversation you have at a barbecue, talking to your old friend, talking to work colleagues, it's about AI and how it's developing. So, but I think, as you said, about having a healthier way of looking at it and trying to experiment and keep an open mind to what's happening is really important. But there are some really good things as well, of course, aren't there?
Well, that's what I was going to say to you. We talk about the scary things or the uncertainty, but there is a lot of good in AI. What do you think is good about it?
Well, I mean, I often ask myself the question: is it a tool? Is it a team member? And I could see it in projects already. I utilize it in my work day to make me more productive, I would say. I mean, you can say you either make yourself more efficient or more productive. Using it to actually enable me to do things more quickly, enabling me to try things which I wouldn't have been able to do perhaps myself before previously. So I think it enhances the time I have mainly in terms of productivity. And I can see it in other examples of people working in media who use it to augment or to help them replace a process that was very timely and costly in the past. And all of a sudden, they can do it in a few minutes flat. But they have a very clear idea about what they want it to achieve as well in that work process. So that's where I'm mainly seeing, rather than all the exciting bells and whistles and things like that, the bright lights, I think it's really in that understanding about slotting it in and being more productive.
I think I've noticed when people talk about it being good, it's not so much in terms of the end results, which is to do with the content creation side of it. It's more about the research and it's the understanding, the idea creation, all of those sort of things. But
Mm.
there is an interesting in terms of how you measure that time saved in relation to time learning about it, because I think a lot of the time we're spending our time learning about it, but also as it gets better and better, then it's going to accelerate as well. And it's something you just touched on. What else? I mean, is there anything else that you find good? I mean, there are lots of different areas. As we're talking primarily from a marketing point of view, but customer service is very good in terms of some of the bots that are being used and how
Yeah.
voice recognition is coming on board and agentic AI in customer experience. But
Mm.
those are all potentially good things, what other things come up to your mind?
Well, I think one of my favorite areas, of course, metrics analytics.
Okay, yeah.
That's really an area where it's very, very powerful. The idea of this hyper personalization. I mean, it's a very powerful tool. The AI tools, which have actually been around for a very long time, we just haven't referred to them as being AI tools. But it's that supercharging effectively of understanding the customer experience. It's something that I'm obviously going on about an awful lot about how you can get as close to your customer as possible. We talk about segmentation, having AI to really power and not just save time on understanding your customer, but to bring in multiple data sources and really help you craft that understanding, paint that picture of who your customers are, and get as close to them as possible. I think that's one of the most exciting areas where
Oh,
it
so
can really
in
do
terms
a
of
lot.
triangulation, you can get all of these different inputs, so you really
Yeah.
understand the needs and what your customer is after. Okay,
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a really exciting area, actually, and it's all the data and it's all of the bits and pieces which I get into, which I enjoy.
so that comes back to being completely open-minded and being willing to experiment, which I suppose just brings us on to the third bit, which is about the doing part of
Mm,
it.
yeah.
And for me, sort of three things are important about the doing, I think, is first of all that being open to experimentation, because there are lots of tools out there, and actually starting small but experimenting, seeing how it works. I think the second one is also about the prompts, learning and knowing how to write really good prompts, because to begin with you just wrote and you put something in, but of course, garbage in, garbage out, it's that sort of thing. You really do need to know what you're doing with it, because the AI is learning from you. So the more precise and descriptive you are, the more it can help you. At least that's my understanding. And then I think the third one is also about the quality. Is actually about being quite circumspect and discerning about what it is that you're expecting from it. So those are sort of three things that I'm looking for on it.
Well, I'll come back with three things from my side. I think to love the rule of three on these things. So it's around copyright. That's a really important area we need to
Yeah,
consider.
good point.
The fact that we're producing, with the content world, of course, an awful lot of new material and borrowing from other sources. So I think you've got to have a clear policy on that. Aligned with that, of course, is data, and it's this ethical usage and understanding of data and data sources. I think, which is so important to have in place, no matter how you're using it, because regulation is going to catch up and be a really important area for companies to be very mindful of, I think. So there's sort of more, I suppose, housekeeping things you should definitely be doing and thinking of now. But then the third and most important one overall for me is about purpose. You've got to really understand what the purpose is of the AI tools you're using. And as we've mentioned several different applications already, but I think it's so important to understand, well, where are we looking to experiment in this area? What are we looking for it to actually achieve for us? But unless you have that really clear understanding of what you want it to do, then it's very difficult to know if it's doing it well, it's doing it effectively. Have you proven your experiment?
That
That's
is
so important.
that is really really important, and you just suddenly remind me of a quote, which was, "He who knows not where to point the arrow draws the bow in vain." So we could be using all of these different things, but unless we actually know where we're heading for with it may well miss its mark, which goes back to the experimentation.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very apt quote. I love that, Joe. You always got the apt quote. It's perfect. It's really good. And also, I mean, in terms of obviously what we're doing, what we work with people on an awful lot, to segue neatly to our next conversation. I mean, we've talked a lot about AI and content creation. And I think that's one of the areas in our courses where we've had to develop and evolve the most because of the changes in AI, the developments in AI, in particular. So that I think we want to go into next time, don't we? About AI
We
and content
definitely do,
creation.
because I've done some sort of created some content using AI, which has been fascinating to produce. I must say I felt it was rubbish in terms of the end result, but I was rather amazed at how quickly I was able to produce it, which
Mm.
goes back to what does good look like.
Yep. Well, that's it. That's it exactly. So, well, let's go into that next time then, and we see if we can explore that and hopefully come up with some useful insights for
This will be a
people.
never-ending discussion, I fear.
It will. It will. It goes on and on. It evolves.